heck of a day. I don't know why all these world events are happening when I'm like in the middle of doing stuff. But for the love of Pete. Looks like I got a little sun, huh? Went to the Hall of Fame induction. Joe Mauer was being inducted in the Hall of Fame while Joe Biden was dropping out of the presidential race. All right, guys, energetically, astrologically, we'll take a look at it. We'll dive into it tomorrow. But this is one of those things where, and I hope you guys understand that, like, I don't have a horse in the race, except the idea of taking away free will scares the crap out of me. And Project 2025 takes free will away, right? Forget about your choice of whether or not you're going to have an abortion or not, or whether or not you can choose to have contraceptives. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Project 2025 takes away your free will for just about everything. And we have to be per free will. Now, Joe Biden dipping into the sands here makes a ton of sense. Makes a ton of sense because not only are the energy and the astrological symbols pointing towards the lesser of the former, aka the Page of Cups, being able to step into that energy of like, hey, I've been in the shadow for a little bit, but it's time for me to mature. Now, by the way, politically, you may not like Kamala Harris, and quite frankly, there's some things that I'm not a fan of. I am not, however, going to abide by the idea that there isn't some karmic purpose in Kamala Harris stepping in here. The criminal against the prosecutor, guys. You think that they flipped out over a black man in the president? How about a black woman? There is cheese grater feel all up and down their thighs on this one. They ain't comfortable at all. They're going to be unhinged on a whole lot of things, and not just if they lose. And again, there are parts of the Republican Party, if I can go back to 2012, if I can go back to 2008, made a shit ton of sense to me. A ton of sense. And by the way, you can still address immigration. But how is it that immigration has been an issue for 20-something years and nobody has come up with a single thing aside from deport them? The problem isn't the people coming into the country. It's our own process, guys. The criminal versus the prosecutor. Maybe Kamala Harris's hands were tied a little bit. Maybe let's see how that works. I'll tell you this much, though. J.D. Vance, and by the way, Vance, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm a scholar, and I like to look shit up. You know what Vance means? Vance means marshland, also known as swampland. The word Vance means swamp, guys. He is no longer draining the swamp, he is running with it. Come on. Like, it's hello, are we dumb? This was actually very predictable that Kamala Harris was going to somehow step in. I called my shot in 2020 that Kamala Harris would finish out the presidency, and dare I say, she kind of is. Oh, and by the way, I want to thank you for all your messages and emails about me getting it wrong that Trump left the country. I'm in downtown Albany, so I got to be careful. Guys, he did. He sold the country outright to Project 2025. Our country isn't our country anymore. And oh, by the way, metaphorically, you can be like, well, metaphorically, technically, he's not an American anymore. He hasn't been. Now he's turning the Supreme Court into it, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. We have no balance of the courts. So what does this mean for us? What does this mean for light workers? It means it's go time, guys. We've got to get our shit together, our personal houses together. We've got to get our gumption together. Oh, and don't even get me started on Uranus conjunct Mars to what's going on with the financial markets. I'm sorry, was the entire United States shut down for a couple of hours this week? The banks were closed? I beg to differ, you Ann McVeigh. I think the United States can deal with a strong woman. Those that aren't threatened will. And if you're threatened by it, well, then that's your opportunity for growth, then, you big jumblehead. That's the whole purpose of a Pluto return. Accepting your challenges and changing it. Figuring out your power base as you are. I'm kind of excited. It's a little crazy. And I can understand why. By the way, my phone blew up again. Thank you, everybody, going, Trump down. I'm like, I'm here for Joe Mauer. That's why we're here. Also saw Jim Leland, Todd Helton, Adrian Beltre. I was always a Todd Helton fan. Jim Leland was just a character as a manager. And Adrian Beltre bounced around a little bit, but he pulled together a really good career. Much better than what I thought he had. I'm like, what? What? And of course, Joe Mauer went last because the Minnesota faithful show up in Cooperstown. It's going to be a long time before we have another Minnesota player get in. I mean, just come on. But it was special to see. And oh, yeah, someone is watching. Listen, I've already been blackballed. I've already told you that my channel is on a list, guys. It's on a list. It's not, my book is on a list. Come on. Revenge is a game. That's what we're railing against. But more importantly, is Kamala Harris good for the country? I don't know yet. I gotta be honest with you. But I like the idea of seeing her spar with Trump. And watch him go, no, I don't really want to. You know what'd be great is if Kamala Harris like took out an ad and said, I'll meet you in the dressing room and see what happens. That would be fucking balls. Excuse my French. I'm a little irreverent when it comes to that crap. Because I think nobody's ever told him no, guys. That's the problem. And then when he is told no, it's clearly an injustice to his no-dom. Don't tell him no. He's a bully. He's a classic bully. There is no more or less that you can explain to him than him being a bully. Period. End of convo. Kamala Harris, her politics, she got to clean up some stuff. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. When you swing too far to allow or promote people that should be held accountable, you're kind of in the same bag as everybody else in this combo. But will she rise to the occasion? Donald Trump didn't. Remember when Donald Trump was elected? I was like, well, Hillary Clinton even said, I hope he becomes the president that we all hope him to be. Could Kamala Harris? Maybe. And if we are still stuck with the lesser of two evils. That's the problem, guys. This wholesale dismantling, by the way, if you really want to follow some deep-seated rabbit hole stuff, type in BlackRock, Bitcoin, and the shooter's name. Yeah. Too many coincidences, guys. Where's Alex Jones saying that there's bad actors at this one? And listen, I'm very grateful, but I'll say the thing everybody wants to need to say right now, what they want to hear. I'm so grateful that he wasn't assassinated. Violence is not an answer. Correct. But I'm also realizing that as much as I don't want bloodshed in Ukraine, they handle all the Democratic servers, the DNC servers. They're trying to protect knowledge. So this is but meanwhile, there's kids that are pawns. Cybersecurity companies and 911 is run by a company that's derivatives are based in Israel. What? The more we pull this stuff apart and then you compare it to the astrology, we are being set up, guys. We are absolutely being set up. Should have cash on hand. Just letting you know. I'm not trying to make a run on the bank here, but if you can't get by for a couple of weeks with a few bucks on you, you might want to double think that. And oh, by the way, what kind of slick willy bullshit is this? We get this far into the election season, and now his cognizant is off, and then he says, here, Kamala. I'm not saying that I'm not up for the task with seeing her through, but we circumvented the entire democratic process. Again. Hillary Clinton did it. Hillary Clinton didn't give it a fair shake, which, by the way, would have revved up the base a little bit and might have had more people come out and vote for him, and then he wouldn't have had to deal with Donald Trump to begin with. But instead, she's a cheater McCheater pants and says, oh, no, Biden, no. Bernie doesn't really have the vote, so let's just kind of go to the end. Let's just skip to the end. Well, you missed the key parts, which is the part that you were invested in. Ugh. The human condition. The human condition. If I had written, if a really good author had written a story that read like this, you'd go, no. You'd have called bullshit at some point and put the book down. Because it would have grated on your common sense. And you would say, yeah, but what about this? And yeah, what about that? It's crazy. So I am off to see, oh, look at this. I got about 20 of you out there. Thank you so much. I'll do a shuffle up and deal here later on this week, shuffle up and heal. And, but I am going to pull apart this astrology. This is a really important thing. It's in the parlance of our times. We need to acknowledge this and see it through. But right now I'm going to go rock out. I'm going to go see Mammoth. Those of you that don't know who Mammoth is, go ahead and do a little Google search. You're going to find Wolfgang Van Halen, also known as Valerie's son, as my dad explained to me. And his father was somebody, I don't know, Eddie something. Anyways, I'll be seeing them tonight. And in a strange twist, and I do expect to see surprises, I'll be seeing Sammy Hagar and his fun band tomorrow night. They're crossing paths where? And by the way, this one was oddly canceled and postponed out of the blue. Right. Oddly canceled and moved to the day before he's up at SPAC tomorrow. Just a mere 18 miles away. I don't know. Could I see Sammy and Eddie's son together? I think so. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Anyways, all right, guys, hard taps. We'll get down to the work tomorrow. But don't despair, but start putting it together. We're not being told the truth. We haven't been told the truth in a long time. You have to, just because you sway one side over the other, doesn't mean that they're still not lying to you. Don't fall for it, guys. We cannot fall for this crap anymore. Time to be independent thinkers. All right, guys, keep going. Love you guys all bunches. I'll see you guys soon.